One city, one battle, a turning point in World War II. This is the story of Stalingrad. World War II did not erupt from a single moment of madness. It unfolded through years of ambition, fear, and unchecked power. By the summer of 1942, the conflict had already devoured nations and reshaped the map of Europe. Nazi Germany, driven by ideology and expansion, had conquered vast territories and seemed unstoppable. Yet the Eastern Front was different. When German forces invaded the Soviet Union in June 1941, they launched the largest military operation in history. The opening months were devastating. Soviet armies were surrounded and destroyed. Cities burned. Millions fled eastward. Still, the Soviet state endured. Winter, distance, and resistance slowed the German advance. In 1942, Adolf Hitler shifted strategy. Oil became the priority. Without fuel, Germany could not sustain its war machine. The oil fields of the Caucasus promised survival. Standing between Germany and those fields was a long industrial city on the Volga River, Stalingrad. The city mattered strategically and symbolically. It controlled river traffic. Its factories produced tanks and weapons, and it carried the name of Stalin. To capture it would be a blow to Soviet morale and a triumph for German propaganda. In August 1942, the Luftwaffe appeared over Stalingrad. Bombs fell in endless waves. Residential districts vanished in firestorms. The river reflected the glow of a burning city. Tens of thousands of civilians died within days. But the destruction did not break Stalingrad. It hardened it. The ruins denied tanks their speed. Collapsed buildings became fortresses. Streets turned into labyrinths of rubble. Soviet leadership decided the city would not be abandoned. Factories kept working. Workers assembled tanks as shells landed nearby. Some machines rolled straight into combat. By September, German ground forces reached the outskirts. Confident of victory, they advanced into a city that was no longer a city. It was a battlefield. German infantry entered Stalingrad expecting organized resistance that could be broken with firepower. Instead, they encountered chaos. There was no clear front line. Every building, cellar, and staircase could conceal an enemy. The fighting became known as Rattenkrieg, Rat War. Combat unfolded at point-blank range. Grenades were thrown through windows. Short bursts of gunfire echoed through stairwells. Control of a single building could change hands multiple times in a day. Soldiers fought for rooms, not streets. For Soviet defenders, the goal was simple: hold the enemy as close to the Volga as possible. Behind them was the river. Beyond it lay their homeland. Retreat was forbidden. The order was clear: not one step back. Small Soviet units adapted quickly. They moved through holes smashed in walls, avoiding streets swept by fire. Night attacks became common. The darkness belonged to those who knew the ruins. German advantages in artillery and air power faded. The proximity of the fighting made large-scale bombardment dangerous. Tanks were vulnerable in narrow streets. Infantry bore the burden. Fear became constant. A window without glass could hide a rifle. Silence could be deadlier than noise. Sleep came in fragments. And still, the battle raged. While the world focused on the fighting inside Stalingrad, Soviet commanders prepared a counterstroke. Instead of attacking the strongest German positions in the city, they targeted the weaker flanks held by Axis allies. On November 19, 1942, Soviet artillery thundered across the steppe. Attacks struck north and south of Stalingrad. Defenses collapsed under the weight of armor and infantry. Within days, German forces inside the city were surrounded. The Sixth Army was trapped. German attempts to resupply by air failed. Aircraft could not deliver enough food or ammunition. Winter tightened its grip. Hunger spread. Wounded soldiers froze in makeshift shelters. Despite the reality, Hitler forbade retreat. The army was ordered to hold its ground at all costs. Hope faded with each passing week. Soviet forces tightened the ring. Positions shrank. Resistance weakened. The end was approaching. In January 1943, the Red Army launched its final assault. Sector by sector, German defenses collapsed. Entire units surrendered. Organized resistance dissolved into isolated pockets. On February 2, 1943, the remaining German forces surrendered. An entire army had been destroyed. The Battle of Stalingrad had lasted over 5 months. Millions were killed, wounded, or captured. The city lay in ruins. Yet the impact reached far beyond the Volga. Stalingrad marked a turning point in World War II. For the first time, Nazi Germany suffered a catastrophic defeat from which it would never fully recover. The initiative on the Eastern Front shifted permanently. The Red Army began its long advance westward. Stalingrad became a symbol of sacrifice, endurance, and the cost of war. A reminder that history can change direction in the darkest places. This was Stalingrad, and this was the moment the tide of World War II turned forever. As autumn faded, winter arrived. Temperatures plunged far below freezing. Snow covered the ruins. Weapons jammed. Frostbite claimed fingers and toes. Cold became an enemy as lethal as bullets. For civilians trapped in the city, survival was a daily struggle. Families lived in basements for weeks. Food was scarce. Water was drawn from the Volga under fire. Children learned to remain silent during bombardments. Snipers emerged as symbols of resistance. From shattered buildings, they watched patiently. A single shot could stop an advance. Their presence weighed heavily on German morale. Fear of unseen eyes followed every movement. At night, small boats crossed the Volga carrying reinforcements and supplies. Many were hit before reaching shore. Those who arrived stepped directly into combat. Despite exhaustion and loss, Soviet morale hardened. The city had become a symbol. To hold Stalingrad was to prove that Germany could be stopped. Inside the ruins, the battle consumed everything. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. More powerful and fascinating history stories are coming soon. Thank you for watching.